thank you all for taking some time out of your afternoon today to meet and have a conversation about some of these really important topics about preparing manuscripts for peer review in our current times with various technologies and other tools at hand to be able to do such work. So things I'll cover today primarily will focus on the first aspect because of the scope of my work every day regarding editorial aspects and perspectives in preparing your work. I would be remiss to miss the opportunity to also sort of share with you as well some opportunities for disseminating work, as also there are many ways to do that as well. And so I'll share from JMIR Publications some of the things that we do or offer to be able to do so. What I'd like to cover today for the editorial aspects of the conversation is these items that are listed here. The top three, I think, are pretty self-evident, but still are good foundations to start with when you're preparing work for to actually do your study at the beginning, but also when you're preparing to report it and submit it to a journal for consideration. What I'd like to spend a little bit more time on is some of the additional aspects of consideration that perhaps are less attended to, but also can be very valuable, I think, which is the bottom three items. So the majority of the remainder of my slides will be focused on those items. Now, that being said, the first three I'll just speak to right now, which is, as you all understand, many journals have their author instructions to guide authors in terms of the kinds of articles that they might publish and also the formats or lengths or other things about them that might need to be considered. It's always a good idea to think about at the very beginning when you're preparing your study, if you are intending to make a scholarly peer-reviewed product out of it, to think about this as early as possible. And by that, I mean talking to peers, colleagues, mentors, and even actually reading the content of the journal that you might be, or journals that you might be submitting your work to, and learning more about what their policies are, what kinds of work and topics they publish on. The second thing is then, of course, your considerations of human subjects research. In the area of digital health and informatics, I don't know what the sort of scope of all of your research projects might be that you work on. However, there are some areas in digital health and medical informatics where it can be a little bit gray. Likewise, also, depending on who your collaborators are outside of Germany or elsewhere in the world, there may be other regulations regionally or nationally that may apply depending on your patient population or study population, I should say. I apologize. I have a heavy bias towards thinking about clinical and patient populations, but in any case, the idea is that in general, if you're not sure, it's always a good idea to ask your research ethics committee or institutional review board for advice or input, or otherwise just apply anyway for an assessment. And the best case scenario is that you get a waiver of consent or exemption or whatever the equivalent might be in your particular region or institution.